it's a great one because it's been 5 years since I actually landed in Canada. Insert that picture right here. When I was in the airport leaving Nigeria, and I just wanted to reflect on the past 5 years with you, as well as share top tips that you should learn as a newcomer. And if you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Janey Booth. And if you're subscribed and returning, what's good? You know how we do it over here. Thank you for joining me again on today's episode. And on this channel, we'll talk about newcomer journeys, talk about being a professional immigrant, how to get a job, how to choose the right school, how to navigate starting your business, all of that, all of those life tips as a newcomer is what you're going to be here for. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, you know what to do. This video is actually in collaboration with an amazing sweetheart and friend of mine, Feyi Mac. What she actually brought up the idea. I was like, oh my God, we're newcomer twins. Let's talk about our experience. She was going to do the video and I'm like, I'm going to hop on it. And so you can please watch her video in my description box and make sure that while you're there, that you like, you share, and you subscribe. You know the drill. Like, there's no need to. So, but if you're excited about this topic, give me a like right now. I'm waiting. At the end of this video, you will learn from my experience what my first 5 years has been like, but also the things I've learned and some mistakes I've made. As most of you know, if you're new and you don't know, I moved to Canada as a student in 2015, September 5th, 2015. I honestly did not think at the time I wasn't thinking too far ahead. I wasn't thinking I was going to move permanently to Canada. I just wanted to study. I wanted to do my master's at the time. And I will just actually start from there because I failed a lot. At first I thought I was coming to do my master's. And so that was the plan. The plan was to come to Canada and do a master's. But I applied to 7 or 8 schools, possibly more, and got big no's from all of them. But thankfully, my brother was here. My brother moved a long time ago in 2007. So he was able to tell me, hey, you're looking to study something in digital media and marketing. You might want to consider postgraduate certificates and diplomas. And I'm like, what are those? And so that was how I actually moved here in Canada and studied in Humber for my advertising program. I've talked a lot about universities versus colleges, doing a postgrad certificate versus a master's. I have a ton of videos. I'm going to link all of them in the description box for you to actually, if you're in that point where you're trying to make that decision, that is, I can share my perspective. I actually, after 1 year in Humber doing advertising, media management, I took another program in my postgrad certificate for account management. And then I went to do my master's because I was at school at Queen's University in Masters of Management, Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And with that, I also have worked in seven or eight companies in Canada in my 5 years across different sizes in tech, in manufacturing, in media and marketing. I've literally been around. And so I've gained experiences there. I've traveled to 6 out of the 10 provinces in Canada. So I've been able to get some experience under my belt in the last 5 years. I've learned about different cultures, and I just want to share with you now from my 5-year experience some tips. If that sounds good, just give me a like right now. Let's do it. Actually, before we do that, can you share with me, where are you in your journey? Are you in Canada or are you thinking about Canada? I want to know who is watching this video. Where are you in your journey? So where were we? Oh, actually, because we're 5 years today, newcomer, if you get to the end of this video, I have a surprise for you. So let's see how patient you are. Now, the first thing I learned after all these years is to have an open mind. The truth is, obviously, we are made of a conscious and a subconscious mind. I did that because frontal lobe and the back of your head. And our subconscious is the part of our brain that drives our beliefs and our values. So a lot of times when we're moving to Canada, that part of our brain is already developed. So we have some things we hold dear. So a lot of times we come with this preconceived notions about certain groups of people or certain lifestyle choices. And we're like, that doesn't feel right because you've grown up knowing that doesn't feel right. So I remember when I first moved to Canada, it was my first year or something. And some people were like, oh, this is it's Pride Week. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Right? Where I'm from, being part of the LGBTQIA plus communities is a no. It's like very hush hush. But here it's very like loud and proud. And I could start judging it, and then, you know, get like castigated away from society because that's not the norm here, versus just having an open mind. Right? So I definitely learned straight on that I don't know it all. Like, if you think about it, and with that, you have to be open to learning, but even more importantly, unlearning some of those things we've brought with us. But I also just like to go by the quote, live and let live. And with that, being open to learning too means that you're going to learn more about other cultures. You're not going to come here and be in a shell like this. You may talk to people who speak other languages, and I'll talk about that more in point number 5. However, just be open. Like, somebody who does not look like you, sound like you, that is the person you want to make your friend. And I think I did that too. Like, by nature, the program I went to my first year as the only Black girl in my class, I had some like friends from all over Turkey, all over the place, France, and we all had accents. Like, a lot of them type people say I had an accent, but they also had an accent, and we're all fine, right? So I was very open to learning that way. The second piece is you have to nurture your resilience. I say this a lot because you have to have your bounce back game has to be on flick. Like, you can't let things sit with you, because my favorite phrase, I know I've said like a lot of favorite things. My favorite phrase is Canada will humble you. And the meaning of that is, if you think about it, for a lot of folks, this is the first time, if you're moving to another country like this, it might be the first time you're making a major decision. Literally, I had settled, I had a big room to myself. I had my own car. I had people who like worked around the house to help me do stuff. Like, there was with dad and mom and a safe zone. And then I moved, put all my life in 2 suitcases, 23 kgs each, right? And moved to this place. I had no friends, no family, no anybody to say, hey, do you know anybody in this place? You're literally in some way starting from scratch on another path. Not starting over. I don't use the word starting over. Starting from scratch in another path. So I always visually say it like this. Imagine there's 2 tracks. One, for the longest part of your life, you've been just going on one. And now you got to this point in this one track, and you moved adjacent to another track. So you're starting from scratch on this track. Not that's over, not like the beginning of it, but like because you've not been on this track before, right? So it doesn't mean you're going all the way back down or whatever. It's just adjacent and you keep going. I talked about my story about failing 7 times and going in my admission process. Even the next year too, my second year, before I did my second degree or my second postgraduate certificate, I was trying hard to get into a master's. Another bunch of notes. That's thousands of dollars lost. And a lot of times too, like, you're coming in, you're applying to a job, you're excellent at what you do, and you're just getting no. People can even tell you no for the whole bit of Canadian experience, which we'll talk about, and I've talked about it a lot of times, but I'll continue to mention that that's literally no excuse. So people talk to you about Canadian experience and why they can offer you stuff. Landlords might reject you because the truth is racism exists here in Canada for Black people, for Muslims, for immigrants in general. And I did make that one mistake when I first moved, because I said I'll talk about my mistakes, right? That I imagined that Canada is very, or rather Toronto is very representative of Canada. Somebody actually called me out on video because I was like, top things every international student coming to Canada should know. And one comment was like, Toronto is not Canada. And I was like, what do you mean? Isn't it inside Canada? But I understand what they're trying to say. Toronto is the most diverse city in the world. So it's literally a melting pot. The first time I meet people from different places in the world here in Canada. So Toronto is very diverse. However, the rest of Canada isn't as much. So there is definitely racism. It's very systemic. If you have kids going through school here, you would see that. If you go through school in Canada, you actually feel it. In the workplaces, it exists. However, as the conqueror that you are, you don't take that. You don't sit with it. You go through it. Right? You actually say, I'm the best thing that's about to happen to you. You just don't know it yet. Right? Because I always say that underrepresented just literally means underestimated. People don't see you coming. So you're just like, eat them. And then the next thing you're like, wow, who's that person? And so with that, there's also cultural shocks. Like the cold it exists. And my first winter, and it was brutal. Like sometimes I can't feel my fingers. You're like, when you're waiting on the bus stop. It's real. Like if you come from a climate country or tropical country like where I'm from, it's an adjustment, and after a while it's like it's no big deal. You join your Canadian friends and you're making snow angels, right? And you're doing fun things too, which we'll talk about in the next point. You're doing fun things with them. So that's cultural norms. About like an example would be I'll say that Canadians are not as direct as some people, like as the US or some people. So if you have a confrontation with somebody like, can I help you? Like, what happened there? Let's talk about it. Sometimes they don't come to you with that. They would rather just like talk to somebody else with authority to handle the situation, or ask in a very nice way. For instance, another way would be like, you know how if you need help from someone or you need someone to pour on something, you say, hey, can you help me lift this thing up? A Canadian will say, hey, do you want to maybe lift this thing up? Right? So all that is things you will get used to as you grow in your journey here in Canada. But I'll say that hold your values down. You like some people will make you feel like you are a sore thumb. You look different. I my master's program, I was like, I go to the party and like because I'm broken off my back, people are like, who is that person? There's times when you feel like the other, but just hold your values down, because there's only one you in this world of a billion people, right? There's only one you. So just don't let nobody come for you, okay? Point number 3, explore Canada. And I think after my first year living in Toronto, it's funny because my first year I actually visited like London, Ontario, I visited Montreal, Quebec, and a few places around, right? But I truly have learned from exploring Canada, and that means a lot of people are like, oh, I want to travel. Blah, blah, blah. We know that I want to travel, gang, but you don't go anywhere. I'm part of that hashtag team explore in my mind, right? However, you will see that this country has how many time zones? Six time zones. So there's definitely so much to explore. There's 10 provinces, 3 territories, so much to explore. And think about it this way too, is like Canada is a huge country. It's almost 10 million kilometers square. And there's only 38 people. Sorry, there's only 38 million people versus US, that's about 9 point something million kilometers square, just a little smaller than Canada, has 300 and something million people. So Canada only has 10% of the population of the United States. And fun fact, actually, 90% of this 30 something million people live within 100 miles of the US border. Check this picture out. What that means is we're all just shrunk on this one tiny line, myself included. I'm one of those people because I'm south of that line, where we just chill here because it's actually close to the border. It's less cold as well, but there's so much land to explore. There's so much to see. There's like beautiful things in Alberta. Oh my God, the scenic places of British Columbia, mountains, water, Banff in Alberta. There's beautiful places to see. In Ontario, there's provincial parks that you can go camp. Yes, follow your white friends and do stuff. Go camping. I don't know about hunting, but people do those things. Go tobogganing. Literally, that's like, yeah, a Canadian thing. You could Google that, literally, and do fun stuff. Go to provincial parks, chase waterfalls, go to Niagara. There's things to do. A lot of times, as an international student, schools organize those tours. Don't be that kid that's just like, I want to stay in my apartment. I'm an introvert, because you will not meet people. Because a lot of times too, in school, people are just studying or at work. Especially if you come as a permanent resident and you don't have an institution where you can make friends. Find group tours. Or there's something called Meetup, for instance. Join meetup groups and explore, because that's the quickest way to ramp up and make friends and family here, so that you can start feeling immersed into society sooner rather than later, right? So I am that person, and I don't know how I have a YouTube channel really, because I'm always out. I'm like, I'm going to meet people. And it's sometimes, I won't lie, like there's also the piece where now I have a strong network base of friends and family that we now explore these things together. But I was that one black person sometimes going with a bunch of white people up to cottage country. Yes, I was get out. And I'll just be like, you know what, we're going to figure this out together. It's fine. Like, it was just amazing. Going to BC, oh my God, going to Newfoundland. Some of these things were work trips, but like going to Newfoundland and like doing the screeching and having to kiss a fish and just like seeing the fisherman culture in Canada. It's very diverse. So you definitely want to explore Canada. And so I've heard some people saying, oh, I wish. Let me tell you one thing I wish I did. When I was in my master's, there's this place called 1,000 Islands in Kingston. where you can take a ferry to this beautiful place that has little islands that actually make up 1,000 islands, is what the saying is. And the whole time I was there, I was like, oh, I'll go. Oh, I'll go. My mom came to visit from Nigeria. In her 2 days of being in Kingston, she went. I finished my master's and I didn't go. So stop procrastinating today and explore. Okay, Dora, you got this. I also really regret not exploring Africa, because a lot of times people now will come here and say, oh, because of racism, people say things like, how is Africa? How big is Africa? Like, you guys are close to Kenya, right? Or they meet you and they're like, I'm Nigerian. You're like, oh my God, that's so cool. I have a friend who is from Zambia. Cool. And a lot of times I'm just like, I wish I can tell you about the difference, like truly tell you about the difference from Zambia to Nigeria or from Cameroon, all of that. I wish I could. And so it's still like a lifelong dream of mine to actually explore places I am. So try out people, try out food, and try out experiences, and you will not regret. That would actually keep feeding your open mind that's actually open to learning, and you'll be meeting more people and learning from other people's failures, and that would help you nurture your resilience. Tip number 4, you have to get comfortable with failure and asking for help. I'm still suffering with that asking for help bit. But the part about getting comfortable with failure, and true successful newcomers know failure like this. It's like you're almost like looking for the next thing that's going to be like, we tried, right? And so I've had a couple failed businesses. When I came here in Canada, I made hair, picked the style I made myself. For a long time, I taught myself how to make hair, how to make wigs, and I did that for a while. That helped me pay my tuition. I started making organic butters, and that business failed because I couldn't afford the cost of logistics and operations, and that was what fueled me going to my master's program, right? To learn about innovation and entrepreneurship and how to scale a successful business. Like, I've gotten a lot of no's. Oh my God. Sometimes you even get no's from things like you're overqualified. And you're like, what does that even mean? Like, so I should reduce myself. Some people get threatened by your experience. It's totally fine. But the piece that's very important is knowing how to ask for help. So, and ask questions back. Oh, another thing with asking questions back, where I'm from, it's like you don't talk back at authority. Your professor comes in and tells you have an exam. You take your books and you go and study. Here, I remember the first time a professor came to class and was like, hey, we're going to be having a test coming up. See you next week, Tuesday. And someone's like, excuse me, sir, can you exactly point us to where to study? And I was like, you can ask that. Let me write down. So those are the things about not asking questions that you might miss on. And because of that, you have to stay on top of your timelines and your documents and the laws. All this I just got here, gang, it's not gonna save you from certain things. I have seen international students forget their deadlines for their study permit. I've seen people who are workers forget that they're not permanent yet, right? Some people don't even, like, stay on top of like laws. People don't even know that if you moved to Canada as a temporary permit holder, study or work, and you did at least 1 year, once you get your PR, instead of the typical 3 years it takes you to become a citizen, it takes you 2 years because you've already done at least 1 year temporarily. If you don't talk to people, if you don't ask for help and questions, you might not know these things. There's things you're going to learn from I just got here, but it's always best to ask questions so that you reduce the amount of those things that might put you in that trouble. Tip number 5, my best one yet, is always be what? Networking. I can't talk about this one enough. And you have to be strategic about it. It's not just networking, doesn't mean just meeting anybody. I know people like network, but it doesn't mean just meeting anybody and just having friends. And I've heard a lot of business people say this a lot too, is treat yourself as a company. You are the CEO of you. And every CEO would have employees, will have a board of directors. Oh, this is who I go to for spiritual counsel. This is who I go to for finance. If I'm having issues here, this is who I go to. And because you're starting on another track, you want to actually curate those over the years. Like, oh, this is my go-to person for this, and be strategic about it. Like, I'm lacking in this area, so I need to find somebody who is good in this area, right? But you definitely have to have a broad and diverse community. So join professional associations, volunteer to stuff. That's a big thing too here in Canada. Like, volunteer to not-for-profit, newcomer agencies, food banks. There's so many things you can volunteer to. And with this networking bit, it's not always about jobs. Like, sometimes the truth is the most appealing time to job search really is when you're not looking for a job, because desperation smells on people, right? I'm just trying to meet people who are in this field so I can ask them questions, we can chat, we can exchange ideas. It's not about looking for a job. Most times how I've gotten my jobs is, oh my God, and maybe I should make a specific video on how I network, because we know how I talked about one time my racism video, how it's like you're the best student but the last to get internship. I legit had to start like knocking on doors of different companies and just getting to know myself, to know the people around the neighborhood. I'd have a list. I'll go on LinkedIn and have a list of 50 people and say why I want to meet them, as opposed to, hey, I like your job, or I like where you work. Do you have? I would write a list of those people, why I want to meet them, customize a message to them, ask for a coffee chat. What's the worst to do? Always ask. What's the worst to do? They'll say no. Okay, scrap you. I need to get to my people. The way I kind of look at things now when I ask questions is, I need to get my no's quicker so that I know that my yes is coming, as opposed to, oh my God, they told me no. It's more like, okay, no, cool. No, you're not. You don't deserve this energy anyways. It's fine. And that's the way that you can like navigate networking. Bonus tip, because we're nice over here, will be get your money, your body, and your mind right. Get your money, your body, and your mind right. Because, like I said, Canada will humble you. There's stress. A lot of times in where we're from, in our resilience, like being a newcomer is hard. Like literally, it's a skill you should always talk about in all your resumes and all your interviews. However, with all the stress that comes with that, you need to take care of yourself. Like, we only have this one body, and we can't just drag it along with everything we're doing. It's taking me a while to realize that, but you need to take care of yourself. It's okay to block time out for yourself. I know you have family, I know you have children that are waiting on you, and you don't have your job. It's fine. It's literally fine. Let's breathe, right? So take care of your body, take care of your mind. Mental health issues are real. And with your money, please budget. Please budget, right? You don't want to be those people who have a bad credit, who are having to go financing loans. You don't have to take a loan if you don't need it. Simple. Hello, credit card. Don't be in that debt, right? You want to make sure your credit score is right, because that would affect a lot of your financial well-being here in Canada. So get your money right. And I will talk more and more about how to get your money right, how I paid off like my tuition myself and all of those bits. Like, I'll share more on this channel. So if that sounds like something you're interested in following along for the journey, you know you should have subscribed by now. And because you stayed to the end of this video, here is my surprise for you. Because I have gotten 5 years in Canada, I have just launched my business. That's the website in the background, janyboost.com, where I actually now give one-to-one coaching advice for newcomers who are looking to start a job, who are looking to navigate school. Maybe you just want someone to scan your resume. Maybe you're looking for a job. Maybe you're looking to go to school and you have a question. You have a question and you need somebody who has the experience to answer. Let me be your girl. So I'm offering a giveaway to 2 lucky winners where you get to win 25 minutes of coaching with me. And it could be any topic around your coming to Canada, your resume, looking to study, looking to school. All you have to do is go on my Instagram at Janey of Canada and follow the instructions on this post right here. And so I'm really excited to see your entries, and I want to see your reasons why you want to chat with me, and I can't wait to speak with you. Until then, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope I have left an amazing smile on your face today as you share my joy in being 5 years in Canada. Oh, I think I should also mention that I now have a permanent residency and I'm well on my way to my citizenship, and I'll keep you guys updated. You already know this. And with that, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye. 5 years don't waka, we see they carry go. Nobody waka, nobody, I do well.